on to this lesson. I am going to remove my mask so that I can be audible enough. I am Sarah Lydia, your teacher of mathematics today. You are going to learn about fractions. Multiplying fractions by fractions. You will need a book. You'll need colors. You'll also need a pen, a pencil, a ruler, and some pieces of paper. I hope you are now ready. So let's get started. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to multiply fractions by fractions, or a fraction by another fraction. You are also going to simplify the fractions to their lowest terms. In the previous classes, you learned about fractions. Do you remember what a fraction is? Well, a fraction is a number that names part of a whole. I will give you some examples of fractions. These pieces of paper, we shall call them fraction strips, are showing us examples of fractions. The first one has been divided into two equal parts. Remember, the parts must be equal. The shaded part is a half, or 1 out of 2. And the unshaded part is also a half. It is 1 out of 2. Let's look at the next fraction strip. It has been divided into 3 equal parts. Remember, the parts must be equal. We have shaded 2 of those parts. 2 out of 3 parts have been shaded. And the part which is unshaded is a third. And the 2 parts which are shaded are 2/3. Now here is an activity for you. You are going to work out a half times 2/3. Get your piece of paper. You have your piece of paper with you. And fold it into 2 equal parts. 2 equal parts. We are folding together. You are doing what I'm doing. Now, each of these parts is a half. Each of the 2 equal parts is a half. Now, get your color. Get one color, any color you like, and shade a half. Shade a half. Have you shaded a half? I have shaded a a half. I have shaded one part of the two parts. I hope you have also done the same. Now, remember we are multiplying a half by 2/3. So now, we have already seen a half, the one part which you have shaded. Now, we are going to find the 2/3. We are going to fold the same paper but horizontally into 3 equal parts. Make sure these parts are equal. Fold, do the same, follow the steps I am using. So fold your paper into 3 equal parts, but horizontal. The first time you folded vertically, they are half, you folded vertically. Now you are folding horizontally. One, 2, 3 equal parts horizontally. The first time you folded vertically into 2 equal parts. Now you have folded vertically. Get another color. Don't use the same color you used at first. And shade 2 out of 3. Shade 2 out of 3, or 2/3. 2 parts out of the 3 parts which you have folded with another color. Okay, I have used red. The first time I used blue. Now I am using red. And this is what I have. Now let us count and see how many parts do we have all together. The smaller parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 equal parts all together. 6 equal parts. Now we want to see the parts which have been shaded with both colors, blue and red. How many are they? Look at your sheet of paper. When I look out at mine, I have 2 parts shaded with the same color. So this means 2 out of 6 is the answer we get when we multiply a half by 2/3. Sorry. Now, all the parts are 6, and 6 is our denominator. The parts which are shaded with 2 colors are 2, and that is our numerator. You remember what a numerator is? A numerator is the number on top and the denominator is the one which is at the bottom. Now, when we look at our fraction, it has a common factor. The denominator and the numerator have a common factor. Remember, you learned how to write fractions in their lowest term. So, what we are going to do is to write this fraction 2 out of 6 in its lowest term. I want you to try this out and share with your friend. Okay. This is what we are going to do. We are going to find out the common factor. And that common factor can be 2. So we are going to divide 2 by 2 and we get 1. Then 6 by 2 and we get 3. So our fraction is a third. Now, there is this diagram which shows you how to reduce fractions to their lowest term. We already know that 2 out of 6 is equal to a third, or 1 out of 3. So we are going to divide the whole of this into 3 equal parts. We have 1 part here. This part shows us 1 part, which is the same as this part. And it is also the same size as that part. So we can name them. We can name them, number them. We can use numbers to name these parts. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 parts. And 1 part has been shaded with both colors. Therefore, our fraction is 1 out of 3. When you are done with this, I want you to get a piece of paper and try out this again. You can see on your screen 1 part has been shaded twice. And that means 1 out of 3 because we have divided our paper into 3 equal parts. Okay. We have our examples now. I want to give you examples. I hope you are ready. Sometimes you are also going to try out where you are with your friend. And after working this one out, you are going to call in and share with us your answer. Take a photo and share it on WhatsApp. Our numbers are, our WhatsApp number is 0772 0778. Let me repeat. 0778 90 77 77. Let me repeat again. Repeat that. 0778 90 77 and 77. That is our WhatsApp number. You can also take a photo and share it with us. Our studio line is 075 0752 23 24 and 25. 0752 23 24 25. Okay, let's continue. But remember to work out that number and share with us. We can work out together still. You need to have your paper. The question was 2/3 times 3/4. 2 out of 3 times 3 out of 4. Get your piece of paper. I have my paper, my piece of paper here. First, divide your paper into 3 equal parts. Three equal parts. Remember, the parts must be equal if you want to make thirds. 3 equal parts if you want to make thirds. I have folded my paper into 3 equal parts. Now, you are going to shade 2 out of the 3 equal parts. This will show 2/3. So shade. I am also going to shade mine. I have shaded 2 parts out of the 3 equal parts. And this gives you 2/3. Okay? Now you have your 2/3. You are going to multiply by 3/4. So, now you can change your paper this time vertically because we started horizontal. This time vertically. And fold your piece, the same paper, fold it into 4 equal parts. Fold your paper into 4 equal parts. 4 equal parts. These are 4 equal parts. Now, you can use another color. Get another color and shade 3 out of the 4 equal parts. Use another color to shade 3/4. This time I'm using blue. I used black first to shade 2/3. Now I am using blue. But you have colors because I told you, you will need colors. So you can use any color of your choice. Shade 3 out of the 4 equal parts. Now, you have to first find out how many parts are there all together. How many? And that one is our denominator. So count and find out how many do we have all together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I hope you have counted 12 parts. So, we have 12 parts. And those 12 parts give us the denominator. Now we want to find out how many parts have been shaded with both colors. How many parts have been shaded with both colors? Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope you are also counting. And I believe we have the same answer. Count once again. How many parts which are shaded with both colors you have? We have 6. And that is our numerator. The number which we find on the top of the whole fraction. The one at the bottom is the denominator, and the one on top is the numerator. And we write our fraction as number of parts which are shaded twice with both colors. They are shaded with both colors out of the number of all the parts. That is how we write our fraction. And that fraction is 6 out of 12. But wait, that fraction has common factors. We have to write it in its simplest form. And we do that by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. And that number is the common factor. These two numbers, the numerator and the denominator, are even. So we can use 2. We divide 6 by 2 and we get 3. And when we divide 12 by 2, we get 6. But still, this fraction has common factors. 3 can be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 gives you 1. And 6 divided by 3 will give you 2. So our final answer is a half. Are we together? Good. Okay. When we multiply fractions, we can use different methods. There is another way. There is always another way. This time, we are going to use pen and paper Fractions can be divided using pen and paper. Sometimes you may not need to fold the paper like the way we have been doing, but you can use your pen and paper. And when we use pen and paper, we look at the numerators and we also look at the denominators. We multiply the numerators and we also multiply the denominators. When we look at our final fraction, if there is need for it to be reduced to its lowest term, we do that. We simplify the fraction where necessary. Okay, let's have this example. Example 1. We are going to use the same fractions. A half times 2/3. First look for the numerators. The numerators in these two fractions are 1 and 2. So we are going to multiply 1 by 2. 1 times 2 gives you 2. One times 2 gives you 2. And our denominators are 2 and 3. 2 times 3 gives you 6. 1 times 2 gives you 2. And 2 times 3 gives you 6. So our final answer is 2 out of 6. 2 out of 6. When you look at 2 out of 6, they are common factors. So this fraction needs to be reduced to its lowest term. The common factor is 2. So 2 divided by 2, you get 1. And 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. We have got our answer. Now, we are going to get more other examples. And this is our example 2. Our example 2 is 2/3 times 3/4. We have to follow these simple steps. First, look at the numerators and multiply them. Look at the denominators, multiply them. When you need to reduce the fraction, do it. Reduce it to its lowest term. Now, in this example 2, let's first look at the numerators. The numerators are 2 and 3. So 2 times 3. What do we get? 2 times 3 gives you 6. 2 times 3 gives you 6. Work it out. Next, we look at the denominators. And our denominators are 3 and 4. We are multiplying the denominators. That is 3 and 4. 3 times 4 gives us 12. 3 times 4 gives 12. Okay. Now, our new fraction is 6 out of 12. Or you can say 6/12. But when you look at 6 out of 12, this fraction needs to be reduced because there are common factors. 6 can be divided by 6. So 6 divided by 6 gives you 1. And 12 divided by 6 gives you 2. So our final fraction is a half. 2/3 times 3/4 gives you 6 out of 12. And when you reduce 6 out of 12 to its lowest terms, you get a half. I hope you are also working out. Before we go to our next example, I want to remind you about these numbers. You can send in your questions. The WhatsApp number is 0778 90 7777. And the studio line is 0752 23 24 and 25. Okay, we can go to our next example. I hope you are following. We have 4 out of 9 or 4/9 times 5 out of 6, which is 5/6. We are not using fraction strips. We are not folding papers. We are going to multiply numerators and then multiply denominators. Okay. First, we identify the numerators. The numerators are 4 and 5. We have to multiply those numerators. So 4 times 5. 4 times 5. 4 times 5 gives you 20. And 20 is going to be our numerator in the new fraction. Next, we identify the denominators. And the denominators are 9 and 6. So we are going to multiply those denominators. 9 times 6. 9 times 6. What is the answer? 9 times 6 gives us 54. 9 times 6 gives us 54. And 54 is going to be our denominator. Our new fraction is 20 out of 54. But when we look at this fraction, there is need for reducing it to its lowest term, because these two, the numerator and the denominator, have a common factor. Both are even numbers, and therefore 2 can be used as a common factor. 20 divided by 2. 20 divided by 2 will give you 10. And 10 is our new numerator. Now, we go to the denominators. We have 54. 54 divided by 2. 54 divided by 2 gives you 27. So 27 is our new denominator. And our new fraction is 10 out of 27. 10 out of 27. There is another example for you. Example 4. Example 4. This time, it's a word problem. Fractions in everyday life. We are going to read, and then we find out. We solve the problem. Peter had a half of a cake, and he ate a third of it. What fraction of the cake did he eat? Now, when we are looking at these fractions, such word problems, we have to read again. We read again so that we understand. Peter had a half of a cake. And he ate a third of that cake. He had a half and he ate a third. And the question is, what fraction of the cake did Peter eat? What fraction of the cake did Peter eat? with word problems, you have to find out what you know and what you are asked to do. What does the question require? And how are you going to do that? So, what do we know? We know that Peter had a half of a cake. Peter had a half of a cake, and he ate a third of it. Peter had a half of a cake, and he ate a third of that cake. And the question is, what fraction of the cake did Peter eat? When we use the word of, we are multiplying. You have done that in the previous classes. You learned how to use the word of when you are multiplying fractions. So we are going to say a third of a half. He ate a third of the half. And this is the same as saying a third times a half. A third times a half. Now, we are going to use the methods we have used before to solve this problem. We look at the numerators and multiply them. Then, we'll also look at the denominators and we multiply them. Our numerators in this problem are 1 and 1. And when we multiply 1 by 1, we get 1. Remember, any number times 1 gives that number itself. 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And that one is our numerator. Now we go to the denominators. The denominators are 3, and we are going to multiply those numerators. 3 times 2. 3 times 2 gives you 6. So our fraction is 1 out of 6, which is the same as a sixth. Our answer is a sixth. So Peter ate a sixth. The fraction of the cake that Peter ate is a sixth. Now, as we come to the end of this lesson, what have we learned? We would like to remember some few points. You can multiply fractions by folding paper into different fractions. You fold the paper like you saw in our first activity. You fold the paper and then you shade. We have also learned that you can simplify a fraction to its lowest term. You can fold the fraction into its lowest or simplest form. We have also learned that the size of the fraction remains the same before and after simplifying. For example, 2 out of 6 is the same as a third. The size of the fraction does not change. I hope we are together. Now, you are going to do an exercise. It is going to be your homework. Do it when you finish your housework. I know some of you are very funny. You'll tell mommy you are given a lot of work and you don't want to do anything at home. But no, do this work when you are through with your housework. 4/7, that is your number 1. Or you can look at your screen, but still you have 4 out of 7 times 3 out of 8. You also have number 2. 7 out of 12 times 6 out of 7. Number 3. 3/4, 3 out of 4 times 9/10, or 9 out of 10. Number 4, Moses, I'm going to read slowly so that everyone can write that down. Moses has 1/4 of an acre of land. Moses has 1/4 of an acre of land. He used 1/2 of it for growing coffee. He used 1/2 of it for growing coffee. What fraction of land did he use for coffee growing? What fraction of land did he use for coffee growing? Remember to show your working steps when multiplying fractions by fractions. I hope you can now multiply fractions. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Thank you for being very attentive. Remember to stay home and stay safe. We meet next time in the next lesson. Bye-bye.